Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, colleagues, esteemed guests. I want you to picture, if you will, a scene of pure jubilation. A university campus bathed in sunlight. Thousands of young people in flowing gowns tossing their caps into the air. It is a moment of profound symbolism. It represents hope, achievement, the triumphant culmination of years of relentless hard work and, for many, immense financial sacrifice. This image embodies a promise, a core tenet of our modern society that education is the key to a better future, not just for the individual, but for us all. I am Dr. Arthur Laforge, and I am here tonight to talk about that promise. Because for millions of our brightest young people, here in 2025 and across the globe, that promise has been broken. It has been shattered into a million pieces, leaving behind a landscape of disillusionment and despair. We are facing a silent, creeping crisis that is hollowing out our economies and societies from within. It doesn't always command the headlines, but its effects are as devastating as any overt economic crash. I am talking about graduate unemployment, and perhaps more insidiously, the pervasive plague of underemployment. This is the phenomenon of a generation, our best and brightest, armed with degrees, drowning in debt, finding themselves locked out of the very future they were told to invest in. This is not merely a collection of individual misfortunes. It is not just a personal tragedy for the young man with an engineering degree now delivering food to make ends meet, or the young woman with a master's in literature serving coffee, her intellectual talents dormant. This is a systemic failure, a societal pathology with destructive, long-term consequences that we are only just beginning to comprehend. It is a colossal waste of human potential, a powerful drag on economic growth, and a corrosive force on our social fabric. Over the course of this address, we will dissect this crisis. We will begin by examining its staggering scale, moving beyond headlines to the data that reveals the true depth of the problem. Then, we will explore the deep, personal scars it inflicts on individuals, the psychological and financial burdens they carry. From there, we will zoom out to analyze the profound and damaging ripple effects on our society and economy. Finally, we will unravel the complex root causes and confront the most difficult question of all: what can be done? This is not just an economic issue, it is the defining challenge of this generation, and it demands our urgent attention. Part 1. A global tsunami of wasted talent. The numbers don't lie. Let us begin with the cold hard data. Numbers can feel abstract, but I urge you to see the human story they tell, a story that is deeply alarming. As of mid-2025, recent data from the International Labor Organization and the OECD paints a grim picture. Across the OECD countries, the world's most developed economies, the unemployment rate for young people aged 25 to 34 holding a tertiary education is hovering at a post-financial crisis high. In some regions, particularly in southern Europe, it sits at a catastrophic level of nearly 15%, and in some pockets even higher. But as I mentioned, the headline unemployment rate is just the tip of a very large and dangerous iceberg. The real chilling story lies in the vast, murky waters of underemployment. This is what we economists call malemployment. A graduate working in a job that does not require their level of education. A job that fails to utilize their specialized skills. Think of the physicist driving for a ride-sharing service, the historian working in a call center, the political science major working as a security guard. They are employed, yes, but their cognitive surplus, their analytical abilities, their years of dedicated study are all left to atrophy. Their potential is squandered. Beyond unemployment, the underemployment epidemic. Recent studies, including a comprehensive and sobering analysis by the Federal Reserve Bank of New York, suggest that in the United States, over 40% of recent graduates are underemployed. In some European nations, that figure approaches a staggering 50%. Let that sink in. For every 2 graduates who toss their caps in the air, filled with hope, 1 will end up in a job that a high school leaver could have performed. 1 out of 2. And let us dispel the comforting myth that this is merely a temporary stepping stone into a better career. The data is tragically clear. A graduate who starts their career in an underemployed role is 5 times more likely to still be underemployed a decade later. They suffer what is known as a permanent wage scar, earning significantly less over their lifetime than their peers who secured a graduate-level job from the outset. It is not a stepping stone. It is a trap, and it is snapping shut on millions of our young people. A compounding generational crisis. This problem did not appear overnight. It is a crisis that has been compounding wave after wave. The millennial generation, who entered the workforce in the shadow of the 2008 financial crisis, experienced what many now call a lost decade of career progression and wealth accumulation. Now, Generation Z is entering a labor market that never fully recovered from that shock and has been further destabilized by the aftershocks of a global pandemic and the relentless march of automation. What we are witnessing is a debilitating echo effect. The pathways for entry-level graduate jobs that were clogged for millennials remain congested. This creates a brutal, zero-sum competition not just among recent graduates, but between recent graduates and slightly older, more experienced, but still underemployed millennials who are desperate to finally get their careers on track. It's a multi-generational bottleneck, a traffic jam of talent with no clear exit, and it is getting worse with every graduating class. Part 2. A generation on hold. The individual scars. Behind these statistics are human beings. The true cost of this crisis is measured not just in dollars and percentages, but in broken dreams, in pervasive mental anguish, and in lives put on indefinite hold. The psychological toll. A crisis of identity. The most immediate and perhaps most insidious is the psychological impact. For decades, we have told our young people a simple, powerful story. Work hard in school, get a degree, and you will secure a stable, fulfilling, and prosperous future. It is the cornerstone of the modern social contract. When that promise is so spectacularly broken, the psychological fallout is immense. We are witnessing an epidemic of what I call aspirational dissonance, the painful, disorienting gap between the future a graduate was promised and the stark reality they face. Studies from esteemed bodies like the American Psychological Association have consistently and conclusively linked long-term unemployment and underemployment in young adults to soaring rates of anxiety, clinical depression, and a profound loss of self-worth. Consider a hypothetical, yet all too common case. Let's call her Priya. Priya graduated with a master's degree in biotechnology, a field we're told is the future. She is saddled with $70,000 in student debt. For 2 years, she has sent out over 500 job applications. She's had a handful of interviews, all ending in the same frustrating rejection, often with the feedback, "You lack practical experience." She now works 30 hours a week as a barista to make ends meet, the aroma of coffee a constant reminder of the laboratory she feels she'll never enter. Priya isn't just financially struggling, she feels like a failure. Her degree, once a source of immense pride and the focus of her identity, now feels like a mark of shame, a monument to a failed investment. Her identity, so carefully constructed around being a scientist, has crumbled. This is not just a personal tragedy, it is a story being repeated millions of times over in every developed nation. It is creating a generation scarred by a sense of inadequacy and disillusionment before their professional lives have even truly begun. The financial abyss, debt without income. This psychological burden is compounded by a crushing financial reality. In many Western nations, higher